Hi, I'm David Bell. Welcome to this episode of Through the Year with John Wesley. It's all about the age of exploration. So, do you like to travel? Do you like meeting new people, exploring new places, having an adventure? If you said yes, and I guess that most of us would, we're in celebrated company. The 18th century clergyman Reverend John Wesley was an inveterate traveller. We know that he walked, rode horseback or in a carriage some 250,000 miles in his lifetime. He also sailed to and from America. But the vast majority of people before Wesley's century barely went 5 or 10 miles from their villages. There was no need, no desire, and no money so to do. But in the latter half of the 18th century, in rural England, something happened. The English countryside began to experience the first effects of industrial revolution. Everything began to change. Cities started to grow as never before. New roads and canals appeared. The old Roman feats of engineering were reborn. Inventions started to appear. New kinds of machines for farm and factory disrupted centuries-old traditions. Patterns of village and family life changed. Not only was industry transforming social life, it was spawning other revolutions as well. The 18th century was an age of science, an age of economic expansion, and an age of exploration. Wesley captures the Christian mood well in his sermon called The General Spread of the Gospel. This was first recorded, by the way, 22nd of April 1783. That's an important clue, and we will come back to it. But first, the sermon itself. He starts it by stating a problem as he sees it. Quote, "In what a condition is the world at present? How does darkness, intellectual darkness, ignorance with vice and misery attendant on, cover the face of the earth?" Unquote. Could that apply to our day and age? I believe it would certainly resonate with many congregations around the world in 2015. But Wesley doesn't just sing a lament. He wants to know what new peoples and what new places are being discovered around the world. He was hardly an armchair traveller, so all his instincts are to expand his knowledge. Wesley's world is the world. It's not the village, and certainly not the parish. He goes on to tell us, quote, "From the accurate inquiry made with indefatigable pains by our ingenious countryman Mr. Brerewood, who travelled himself over a great part of the known world in order to form more exact judgment, supposing the world to be divided into 30 parts, 19 of them are professed heathens, altogether as ignorant of Christ as if he had never come into the world. 6 of the remaining parts are professed Mohammedans, so that only 5 in 30 are so much as nominally Christians." Unquote. If any lay leader, clergy, group or congregation wanted to know where Wesley got his inspiration to action, well, it's in plain sight. He does his homework. He analyses what's going on using data to hand. And who better to provide it than Captain James Cook? If any one figure epitomises the age of exploration, it's Captain Cook. Today he's hated by some as the harbinger of British colonialism. But any sober assessment ranks James Cook as one of the finest navigators and cartographers. His voyages of exploration mark him as one of the great Royal Navy captains. But when Wesley wrote his sermon on the general spread of the gospel, Captain Cook was already some 3 years dead. He'd been killed in a fight in Hawaii. James Cook left an extraordinary legacy of scientific exploration, mapping lands from New Zealand to Australia into the reaches of the Pacific Ocean. He recorded his encounters with the peoples of the Pacific Islands. And as a result, Wesley delivers a swinging attack on the, quote, heathens of the basest sort, unquote, of some of the Pacific Islands. He carries that forward into an attack on the Mahometans. And then his polemic extends to the Christians as well. Are the papists and the Protestants of Christian Europe any better, he asks, than the basest heathens of the South Pacific? No, says Wesley. They are as far from holiness as, quote, hell is from heaven, unquote. Well, I love all of this because of what comes next. It's a superb analysis from early data in the age of exploration that forces Wesley to a theological and faith impasse. Here's what he says next, quote, such is the present state of mankind in all parts of the world. But how astonishing this is, if there is a God in heaven and his eyes are over all the earth. Can he despise the work of his? It's that last sentence which is so compelling in the quotation. How is it possible to reconcile this with either the wisdom or goodness of God? Now, I've mentioned this theological dilemma before and through the year with John Wesley. Every Christian down the centuries has been brought face to face with it. It's the human condition. The terms of life itself involve personal suffering, church suffering, national suffering, humanity's suffering, creation's suffering. The gospel must make its way in that world. Now, Wesley believed that the worth of the gospel was incontrovertible, hence it needed to be spread. How did he get over the faith impasse? He didn't. He let it stand. But he said that in the coming reign of Christ, all promises made to the Christian church will not then be confined to it. They will not be restricted, quote, to this or that nation, but will include all the inhabitants of the earth, unquote. Wesley's solution is all of a one with the age of exploration. As our world expands, our faith must expand with it. As knowledge grows, our faith grows with it. It doesn't make the paradoxes and the dilemmas disappear. Our faith itself lives in paradox and dilemma. Our exploration of new worlds and ideas is an integral part of faith. Wesley saw it clearly. I hope the church today can see it too. Next week we look at Wesley's sermons about the Sermon on the Mount. Thanks for watching.